Good evening, I'm Shannon OHalloran, and I'm studying transit access to recreation in the San Francisco Bay Area. So BART and Caltrain are still well under 2019 levels of weekday ridership, but what has been particularly successful is weekend recovery, with BART almost at 2019 levels, despite having cut service on week Saturdays since 2019, whereas Caltrain has increased weekend service and is therefore well above 2019 Saturday ridership levels. So, given that the rise in remote work is seriously hampering weekday transit ridership, and there does not seem to be an easy way of addressing that, I'm proposing looking at ways to further strengthen this successful weekend ridership growth by finding ways to put metropolitan transportation grant funding into transit systems. And so I'm looking specifically at ways to increase access to recreation, since this is Saturdays we're looking at where less people are working. So this was a GIS-based project where basically I created a network analyst GTFS data set that let me run service area analysis for all of the public transit agencies in the San Francisco Bay Area, although I only studied things in the 5 counties that BART and Caltrain serve. And then I compared that with census tracts that are identified by the Center for Disease Control as having a high prevalence of loneliness or social isolation, lack of physical recreation, and lack of access to transportation as basically areas where there's the highest need to invest in greater regional transit resources to get people to recreation. And so I studied access to 20 sites across the study area. These included museums, sports venues, concert venues. This particular map is access to the Oakland Museum of California. And then when I was identifying tracks that should be considered a priority for investment, which is based on being in multiple service areas, I focused on the 70 to 120 minute from whatever the major location is areas, because we're basically looking at places that have slow, low quality transit connections and whether we can improve them rather than places that don't have transit at all. Because the big recommendation here is to focus on grants for local bus agencies feeding BART and Caltrain, not BART and Caltrain themselves, because we want to actually get the passengers to the trains so they can ride them. And then I identified these 3 areas of focus based on several factors I don't have time to get into. But I will say San Jose is excluded because of multiple ongoing projects that'll probably fix this priority area.